Stress is a body reaction to any demands or changes in its internal and external environment. Whenever there is a change in the external environment such as temperature, pollutants, humidity and working conditions, it leads to stress. In these days of competition, when a person makes up his mind to surpass what has been achieved by others, leading to an imbalance between demands and resources, it causes psychosocial stress. It is a part and parcel of everyday life. Stress has a different meaning, depending on the stage of life you are in. The loss of a toy or a reprimand from the parents might create a stress shock in a child. An adolescent who fails in the examination may feel as if everything has been lost and life has no further meaning.
One of the biggest impacts of plastic pollution is its effect on sea life. Seals, sea turtles, and even whales can become entangled in plastic netting. They can starve to death if the plastic restricts their ability to move or eat. Or the plastic can cut into the animal's skin, causing wounds that develop severe infections. Sea turtles eat plastic bags and soda can rings, which resemble jellyfish, their favorite food. Seabirds eat bottle caps or chunks of foam cups. Plastic pieces may make an animal feel full, so it does not eat enough real food to get the nutrients it needs. Plastic can also block an animal's digestive system, making it unable to eat. Plastic and its associated pollutants can even make it into our own food supply. I have never had an opportunity to watch a mother panther train its cubs. But in Pilibhit forests, I once saw a tigress giving some lessons to its little ones. I was its kill at Mala. As the sun set, the tigress materialized in the twilight behind my makan. For about an hour, it scanned and surveyed the entire area, looking and listening with the gravest concern. It even went to the road where my elephant was awaiting my signal. The mahout spotted it from a distance and drove the elephant away. When darkness descended upon the scene and all was well and safe, the tigress called its cubs by emitting a low ha-oon. The cubs, 2 in number and bigger than a full-grown cat, soon responded. They came trotting up to their mother and hurried straight to the kill in indecent haste. India has never subscribed to the doctrine of militarism and war in her history. Here, war was never treated as an ideal. It was only tolerated as unavoidable and inevitable, and all attempts were made to check it and bring it under control. In spite of the frequency of wars in ancient India, in spite of highly developed military organization, techniques of war and imperialism, and in spite of the open justification of war as national policy, the heart of India loved pacifisms as an ideal capable of realization. India's symbolic role was that of a peacemaker, and it sincerely pinned its faith on the principle of live and let live. At least philosophically, India's intelligence supported the cause of peace not only in national affairs but in international affairs also. Similarly, in colleges and institutions, there is a need for practical exposure so that the students can experience the actual working of an industry. For example, taking a student to a manufacturing firm will give him/her the real insight and better learning of the industry. Catering to this change, most professional colleges including B schools have started providing practical exposure to students through regular guest lectures, industrial visits, conferences, seminars, cultural festivals, and so on. With industry visits, students are able to better identify their prospective areas of work in the overall organizational function. Moreover, they help enhance interpersonal skills and communication techniques. In addition, guest lectures are equally important for all-round development of students. The indefinite period of time that it takes for the average plastic bag to break down can be literally hundreds of years. Every bag that ends up in the woodlands of the country threatens the natural progression of wildlife. Because the breakdown rate is so slow, the chances that the bag will harmlessly go away are extremely slim. Throughout the world, plastic bags are responsible for the suffocation deaths of woodland animals as well as for inhibiting soil nutrients. The land litter that is made up of plastic bags has the potential to kill over and over again. It has been estimated that one bag has the potential to unintentionally kill one animal every 3 months due to unintentional digestion or inhalation.
I think it's really important for young people not to feel restricted in their choices and also to be aware of the choices that are available to them, and obviously the media has an incredibly important role to play in that. I think we tend to talk about science as this big kind of monolith, but of course actually it's this beautiful multifaceted thing. You know, there's almost something for everybody there, and there are so many different aspects of it. You know, somebody that's going to be attracted to working in biology might be a very different person from somebody who's attracted to engineering. I suppose it's about knowing the breadth of opportunities that are out there, and so anything that universities and broadcast media can do to make sure that those opportunities are visible. Exercise is like fertilizer for your brain. All those hours spent on exercising your muscles create rich capillary beds not only in leg and hip muscles, but also in your brain. More blood vessels in your brain and muscles mean more oxygen and nutrients to help them work. When you pedal, you also force more nerve cells to fire. The result? You double or triple the production of these cells, literally building your brain. You also release neurotransmitters, the messengers between your brain cells. So all those cells, new and old, can communicate with each other for better, faster functioning. That's a pretty profound benefit to cyclists. This kind of growth is especially important with each passing birthday, because as we age, our brains shrink and those connections weaken. We face a 35-mile open water passage across Prince Regent Inlet on Baffin Island that will take us to our ultimate goal, Pond Inlet on Baffin Bay. The breakers look huge from the water's edge. Leaning into the hulls, like bobsledders at the starting gate, we push as hard as we can down the gravel beach to the sea. We catch the water and keep pushing until we have plunged waist deep, then drag ourselves aboard. Immediately, we begin paddling with every ounce of effort. Inch by agonizing inch, perception moves offshore. Sweat pours off our bodies. Ahead of us, looming gray-white through the fog, we see a massive iceberg riding the current like the ghost of a battleship. Psychologists say that parents who overindulge their kids set them up to be more vulnerable to future anxiety and depression. Today's parents, themselves raised on values of thrift and self-sacrifice, grew up in a culture where "no" was a household word. Today's kids want much more, partly because there is so much more to want. The oldest members of this Generation XS were born in the late 1980s, just as PCs and video games were making their assault on the family room. They think of MP3 players and flat-screen TVs as essential utilities, and they have developed strategies to get them. One survey of teenagers found that when they crave something new, most expect to ask 9 times before their parents give in. If once you have finished you still have some blanks, go back and listen to the audio again to pinpoint the words you missed. You might see a pattern of types of words that you had trouble with. If this is the case, identifying what you need help with is a vital part of your learning process. Have you spelled everything correctly? If not, then I am afraid no points will be given for those words spelt incorrectly. Spelling mistakes can also have some sort of pattern. For instance, the letters tion together at the end of a word makes the sound shun. Therefore, if you are spelling words with these patterns wrong, then take time out to revise these spellings.
Nutrition plays a critical role not only in child health and survival but also in driving economic prosperity for families and nations. It is encouraging to see increased attention from world leaders to address malnutrition in all its forms and in particular to reduce stunting everywhere. It will take continued efforts and dedication to ensure this progress continues. The Global Nutrition Summit will build on the legacy of Nutrition for Growth, the first ever global nutrition conference held in London in 2021, which mobilized over $4 billion for nutrition-specific projects, and $19 billion in nutrition-sensitive projects. The summit will foster dialogue around emerging issues such as, cities as innovator hubs, sustainable food systems for optimal nutrition, and gender, health, and nutrition. The surface is scratch-resistant against flying dust in strong wind. It has excellent optical characteristics and the ability to collect sunlight and send it down the tube. It doesn't age under UV rays or temperature changes or moisture. Its disadvantage is, however, a higher price. Some producers don't use a dome, but instead, use a roof window to which they then attach a sun tunnel tube. This is an interesting solution, but only for spaces where a lower amount of sunlight is enough. The flat surface of a window reflects 30% of the light away from the sun tunnel at the roof level. Smog and dust stick more easily to its flat surface and it's necessary to keep it clean. If you are carrying out building work personally, it is very important that you understand how the building regulatory system and material applies to your situation, as you are responsible for making sure that the work complies with the building regulations. If you are employing a builder, the responsibility will usually be theirs, but you should confirm this at the very beginning. You should also bear in mind that if you are the owner of the building, it is ultimately you who may be served with an enforcement notice if the work does not comply with the regulations. Some kinds of building projects are exempt from the regulations. However, generally, if you are planning to carry out building work, as defined in Regulation 3 of the Building Regulations, then it must comply with the building regulations.